Hello everyone, welcome back to another React Native video, and today we are gonna talk about Expo Router. And if you don't have any experience with Expo Router, then it's totally fine because we are going to build everything from scratch, and you will learn about stack navigations, tab navigations, models, and all the nested navigations. So you're going to learn a lot in this video. So without further wasting any time, let's get started. So this is the Expo website, and first you need to go to the sidebar, and under routing you will see installation, and this is the command to create a latest Expo app. Just copy this command and open the terminal and paste it here. So now you're gonna name your application. Mine will be Learn Expo Router, and hit enter. This is going to take a couple of seconds to load all the boilerplate code, and once it's done we can close the terminal. Let's just give it a second. Okay, so it's finished. Now we can close the terminal and open the code in VS Code. Let me just drag that here and let's make it full screen. I've already opened the simulator, so let's make it full screen as well and adjust both of them in one screen like this. And let me make this smaller and this one to side. Okay, first of all, we're gonna run this application using this command npm run ios, and this is going to create a build of our application and send it to the simulator, and then we can see our application running. So the application is running, and as you can see, by default they have implemented tab navigation. At the bottom you can see two tabs, and on the tab one you can see an icon on the top which will open a model, I think. So when you press it, it opens a model. So by default they have implemented tab navigation and a model. Now let's see what do we get when we install a fresh application. In the app folder, this is where all our code will go, all the layout, model and tabs. Assets will hold our fonts and images, and these are just predefined components. And here we have a constant folder for all the colors. We are not going to use all of this code, so let's move the code that we don't need. So let's move this components folder, and let's also remove this constants folder, and inside app folder we are gonna remove all of this code because we will be building this app from scratch. So let's delete all of this. We're gonna build everything in app folder, and if we create any component, it will automatically create a route for us, so no need to specify the route in navigation files. So let's just create an index file, and this will automatically create a slash route, and let's just call it homepage. And the way it works is basically Expo Router checks all the files and directories, and it will create all the components and the routes based on their file names. So in our case, because this is an index file, so this route will be slash. Let's just reload the application. So as you can see, we haven't provided any navigation, and by default we are seeing homepage. It works very differently in React navigation. We have to manage all of this in navigations. So let's say I want to create another page called register. So for that, what I will do is create another file, and I will name it register.tsx, and it will automatically create a route named slash register. So if I go to slash register, this page will show right away. And the way we can test that is by running this application in web version. So let's just press W on the console, and it will build the web version, and it should open in the browser. Okay, so it opened in another screen. So let me just copy the address and paste it here. And by default you will see the home page because it exists on the slash route, and if we go to slash register you will see the register page. So it has automatically created a route for us, and we haven't provided anything in any kind of navigation. And the index file was representing slash route because it's the main file in any route. There is another way to create this register route. First we need to create a folder named register, and inside this we're gonna create a file index.tsx, and we're gonna write the same code register and delete the old register file, and it's going to work exactly the same it was working before. It's going to look into the register folder, and the main file index.tsx will be provided. So let's move to browser and refresh this. Now you can see the register page. Now how do we add a header around this page, just like how we can do in React navigation? And for that we need to create another file underscore layout. So let's create a new file and name it underscore layout.tsx, and let's create a basic functional component inside this, and we are gonna return a component from Expo Router, and the component is called stack. we're just gonna return this empty component, and when you save this you will see all of our component will have this header, and because we are on index page, that's why it's showing the index in header. And how we can change it, we have to specify that in our stack. So let's add stack.screen, and the name for this route will be index. And to change the header we need to provide some options, and let's add title home. And now we need to close this tag, and when I save this you will see the header name just changed to home from index. So this is how you can add header to your files and modify all of the screens one by one if you want to. So let's add this one more time for our register route. So let's just copy this and do the same for our register. This is going to be register slash index because that's the route name, and the title will be register. um I just misspelled this. It needs to be single X. Okay. We have defined our register route, but how do we navigate to register route within our application? Let's move to our index route, and first let's add style to make it centered. Flex 1, justify content center and item center. This will center line all of our content. So now we're gonna use another component from Expo Router. It's called link. So let's import link component, and we're gonna provide href property to the route that we're going to navigate. It's called slash register, and we are gonna close this component and add a button inside this. So let's add a button, and the title for this button is going to be open register page. Now let's close this button tag and save this. Why is this showing red lines? Okay, it needs to be slash register slash. That's why it's showing, but it will work just fine. So now when I click on this button, it should open the register page, but it's not going to because the link isn't applied on the button tag yet. So for that, we need to add another property as child. This will apply to the button tag now, and when I click on this button, it's going to open the register page. Now if you want to change the header, you can go to layout file and add whatever the header you want. Let's say register page, and this will change right away, but I'm gonna keep it register. So if you want to change the style for your header, you can do that as well. You need to add some screen options in your stack. So let's add a property screen options, and inside that we're gonna add header style, and the background color for our header will be black. So let's add a black color, and this will change the background color of our header. So now we need to able to show the header title, and for that let's add a property header tint color, which will be white. Now we can see the header title, but we don't see the fonts in the status bar. So for that we need to use another component from Expo. So let's move to our index file and add that component in here, and the component is called status bar, and we need to provide a style to this with light colors, and this will change all the fonts in light colors. Now we have a black background with white colors, so this way you can modify your header styles. Now let's remove this and get back to our white header. Next we're gonna learn about 404 page error. So let's say the user goes to a page that doesn't exist, so we need to show him properly that resource was not found. So the way we can do that is we need to create a file, and the file name will be parentheses missing.tsx. So this page will be shown every time a user goes to a page that doesn't exist. So let's just name this to page, and for now let's add not found like this, and let's add some styles to this text. So let's add a style property and give this a font size of 20 so we can see it clearly. So how do we test this? We need to go to our index page. Let's just misspell this register route. So let's save this, and when I open the register page, now it's showing not found page that we just created. And you can change the header name from our layout file. So let's go to layout and copy this register route, and we need to specify the route name, which will be parentheses missing, and the title, let's say 404. And when I save this, you will see the header just changed. So let's move back and let's change the things to normal, just like how they were before. So let's save this. Now it's working fine. So next we're gonna create a model. So let's create a file login.tsx, And let's create a basic functional component, and this will say login, and this is going to say this is a login model. Save this. Now we're gonna navigate to this model from our register page. So let's go to register page and add a link. href will be /login because it's in the same directory, and we need to add as child because we're going to use a button, and this will apply the link to this button. Now here we're gonna say open login model, and let's close the tag and save it. Now when I click on this button, this is going to open the login model, but you will see that it's a page, it's not a model, and to make it a model we need to specify that in our layout file. So let's go to layout, and we're gonna just copy this register route. Let's change the name to login like this, and we're gonna change the title to login model. Now we're gonna add a property presentation as model so that it's not a full page, it's a model. Now when I press on this button, it's going to open the login model as a model, not a full page. So this way you can add a model. You can also open this model from a header button, just like how they showed it in the boilerplate code. And for that we need to move to register route, and here we're gonna use a property header right, and this will return a template, and we're gonna return a button, and the title for this button is going to be login, and we need an onPress method, so let's use an empty method for now, and let's save this. Okay, we need to provide an empty method, that's why it's showing this error, so let's add an empty method. Now we're gonna use the router to move to the login model, so let's define our router using use router from Expo Router. And now using this router we're gonna push the login model. Let's remove this and add router dot push /login. It's going to open the login model. So when you press on this login button in the header, it's going to open the login model. So now it's working. Now next we're gonna work on tab navigation, and we're gonna create a folder to handle all of our tabs so that we don't create a mess in app folder. But we are not gonna specify the tabs in URL, and for that Expo Router has something called groups. So if you use parentheses around a route, this won't show in a URL, but you'll still be able to navigate to all the tabs. So let's create our first tab. Let's create a file 1.tsx, and you will be able to navigate to this file using /1. You don't have to specify /tab /1. That's the reason we are using groups. So this is why the groups are for. So let's call it this is tab 1, and we need to navigate to it from our home route. So let's copy this link and call this /1, and this will say open tab 1. I didn't specify slash tabs in the URL because we're using groups, but if we were not using groups, we had to specify that. Okay, we can navigate to this tab 1. So let's move to tab 1 and add some styling because the text is very small. So let's add a font size of 20. Now we can see the text. And next we're gonna create another tab. So let's create a new file 2.tsx. We'll have two tabs, and let's create a functional component, and this will be tab 2. Let's just copy the text from one tab. Let's copy this text from here, paste it here, and this is tab 2. Okay, we have created all the tabs, but we don't see the tab navigation at the bottom, and the way we can do that is to make this a navigation. So let's add a underscore layout file, and inside this file let's create a functional component, and we're gonna remove all of this, and we're gonna return a component tabs from Expo Router, and it's going to turn all of our tabs into tab navigation. So let's move to tab 1. We need to refresh the application. So now when I open the tab 1, you will see we have another tab navigation, and at the bottom you can see we have tab 1, tab 2, and we can create other tabs very easily just by creating a file inside the tabs folder. So let's create another file. Let's create a file and let's call it boom.tsx. Let's create a functional component, and when I save this, you will see it instantly creates another tab into our tab navigation. So let's remove this file. So this is how you can create tab navigation, and this has created another header inside our tab navigation. This is coming from our previous navigation, and the one is coming from our tab navigation. So we only need the header from our tab navigation. So let's move to our parent layout, and here we're gonna specify tabs route, So let's just copy this and change this to tabs. And we don't need the title and presentation, so let's remove this. And we need a property header shown to false. This is going to hide the header for the tabs only. So on the tab navigation, we don't see the parent header and our tabs are working. Okay, so now we need to have a back button to go back to previous navigation. So let's move to tab 1, and here let's define our router using use router hook from Expo Router, and let's add a button, and the title for this button will be go back, and let's add on press method. Using our router, we can use a function dot back, and this will take us back to the previous navigation. So when I press on this button, it goes back to the previous navigation. Okay, so both of our navigations are working. Now we need to be able to change the header title and tab or label at the bottom. So we need to move to layout file in tabs, and here we're going to use a component tabs.screen, and the name for this screen is going to be 1 as the file name, and some options. And first we're gonna change the tab or label to capital 1, and let's close this tag and save this. Now this will change the label of the tab bar. Now we need to be able to change the header title. So property for that is header title, and we're gonna change this to capital 1 as well. Let's save this. We need to add a comma after this property. So yeah. Okay, so the header title and the tab or label is changed. Now we need to do the same for tab 2 as well. We need to change the header and label. So let's just copy this one more time and change this to 2 and numeric 2 for the header title. And when I save this and go to tab 2, you will see the header just changed to numeric 2 value. Okay, so let's change this back to normal. Now, so far we have learned about stack navigation and a tab navigation inside stack navigation. So now we're gonna create one more nested route inside tab navigation for the posts. And let's create a folder post inside tab navigation. And let's create another file index.tsx. And by default, this is going to assume that this is another tab inside tab navigation. And if I create a functional component and save this, you will see another tab just appeared by post slash index name, because that's the file name. We are going to convert this into a stack layout as well, but before that we need to style our post component. So let's center all of our content. Flex 1, justify content center, and align item center as well. And here we're gonna provide 3 links to the 3 random posts. So let's remove this and add a link. href is going to be slash post slash id of the post, and this is going to say open post 1. So let's copy this 2 more times for 3 random posts, and let's change this to post 2, and the third one to post 3. That's supposed to be the post ID. The links are not really visible, so let's add a style to add a font size of 20 and save this. And let's just copy this for all the posts as well. Now, if you notice, all of these links are dynamic because all of the post IDs are different and they are unique. So we can't just create all of these routes in the same folder, because that will just create a lot of files based on the IDs. So we need a way to dynamically pass this ID to a page, and that will fetch the post for that ID. And if you want to create dynamic route, then we need to provide the file name with brackets, and inside the bracket we need to provide the parameter name that is going to be dynamic. So let's create a functional component and change the page name, and this is going to say this is post details page, like this. And when I save this, you will see another tab just appeared into our tab navigation. That's the dynamic ID path. So we need to fix this. We need to make this into a stack navigation. So let's create a layout file inside post folder. And here we're gonna create a functional component that will return a stack component. So let's import stack component from Expo Router. And when I save this, you will see all the extra tabs in our tab navigation are gone, and we have only one route, which is post. And here you can see the post links, and we have an extra header that is basically coming from our tab navigation. and the second header is coming from the layout that we just created for the posts. So we only need one header. So let's move to layout in tab navigation and copy this screen, and we're gonna name this post. Let's change the header title to post and tab bar label to post as well. And we're gonna add one more property, header shown set to false, and this will hide the header for the post tab only. So if we move to post tab now, we will see only one header, and that's coming from the post layout that we just created. And if we move to other tabs, those headers works fine as well. So now we need to change the header title for this post navigation. So let's move to the layout file in post, and here the root component is index file. So we need to change the header title for the index component. So let's add a stack.screen component, and name for this is going to be index, and let's add some options to change the title to posts. And let's close this component and save this. Now the title will be post instead of index. So next we're gonna copy this one more time for the dynamic route as well. The name is square brackets with the id parameter, and we need to change the header title to post details, and let's save this. Now if we go to the post details page, you will see we have the post detail as a header. You can also use the title property to change the header title. This works the same as well. So if I change the property to title, this is going to work the same as well, but strangely our back button is gone in post navigation. This happens sometimes in development mode, so don't worry, you just need to reload the application and this will be fixed. So let's just reload the application, move to tab 1, and now we need to be able to fetch this dynamic ID in the post details page. So let's move to post details page, and here we need to get our ID from a hook that is called use local search params, and that is provided by Expo Router. You can use this to fetch all of your parameters, and let's add our parameter here, post 1, if the ID is 1. So if I move to post 1, you will see we have post 1, and if I move to post 2, you will see we are going to post 2. So let's increase the font size for this text to 30 so that we can see it clearly. So now if I go to post 1, you will see we have a bigger text and our dynamic ID is working as well. If you want to change the header title based on this dynamic ID, we can do that as well. So if you want to change the header title, we need to add stack.screen component inside this dynamic route. And to this component, we're gonna add some options to change the header title to posts plus the ID that we got from local search params, and close this and save this. Now we have made the dynamic headers as well. So if I go to post 1, you will see post 1, and we can change the header to whatever we want. So let's change this to post details, and let's move to post 2, and this will say post details 2, and same for the post details 3. So now let's move back to our home page, go back and go to tab 1. Tabs are working, we can go back and let's go to register page. Our login model is working and we can go back from here. So let's move to our post, and with this our deep links are also working, and that means user can open a specific page inside our application using a link, and that will be the post link. So let's move to deep link testing. This is the web version of our application. So let's move to React navigation docs/deep linking, and here let's see how we can test this on iOS. If you scroll down, you will see how we can test this, and here is the command to test this on iOS. We need to provide URI scheme, open address of our application, and then the rest of the URL with dash dash iOS. So let's move back to our application, and first thing we need to do is find the address of our application. So let's move all the way up, and here is the address of our application. So let's copy the address and move to another terminal. Let's make this terminal bigger. Let's check the command that we're gonna use. So we are going to write URI scheme, open address of the app, and then the rest of the URL with iOS. Okay, so let's write npx URI scheme, open, and then double quotes, and then the address of our app slash dash dash slash, let's open post 1. So post slash 1, and then the double quotes, and then dash dash iOS. Okay, let's hit enter and see if it's working. Okay, it just opened the post one. That means our deep links are working. Now let's close the application and see if it can open the application as well. And this time we're gonna open the post 2. So let's write post 2 and hit enter. And it opened the app and it moved to post 2. So our deep links are working as well, and with this our application is complete, and we have learned about stack navigation, we have learned about tab navigation and nested navigations. We have also learned about models, deep links, and all these little things. So with this our application is complete, and if you find this video helpful, do like the video and subscribe the channel because I've put so much effort in this video. So I'll leave the GitHub repo for this project into the video description so you can check out the code. And if you still have any questions about anything, you can ask them into the comment section and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. So this is it for this video. See you in the next one.